I'm Luna Garza-Hillman.
I'm Georgia Kerr, and this is Tulips by Nora Webb.
Dear Diary, Heads Up Journal. To whom it may concern, according to the threads I have pulled loose from this couch, one for every time I wake up, I've been here in purgatory for approximately 8,439 days. Give or take a few accidental naps. I've learned 3 things. 1, I'm dead. Fuck. 2, I sort of sucked, but I wasn't a total dick when I was alive, so. 3, I'm in purgatory. Okay. Well, I've learned 4 things, actually. 4, I can still swear, but there's a cost. It's worth it. And no, 5 things. 5, the priest who bored the fuck out of me as a kid was wrong. Purgatory isn't the waiting room concept he preached at us. A waiting room sounded so easy, just sit and wait. But there's definitely a suffering aspect. I mean, it's purgatory, it's not hell, but it's not hell either.
If he's not looking right at the long table where the jars are placed, there's a soft orange glow that creeps into his peripheral vision. It's not supposed to be annoying, but we do want them to get his attention. He turns his head, and there it is, a table full of prayer jars. They're designed to motivate. He's supposed to see that people are praying for him, rooting for him. It's quite lovely. I prefer the more delicate flickers myself. They're just so pretty. All of those glowing, incandescent flickers on the table, those are casual mentions, the traditional Southern bless his or her heart and may he rest in peace, and my personal favorite, the trite political in our thoughts and prayers. Between you and me, dear reader, those political ones are the smallest. They're nice, sure, but they don't really mean as much. What you really want is an unfurling flame from your jar, reaching up to the ceiling. That's an indication that you had a major and significantly good impact on someone, and they gave you credit for it. You changed someone's life for the better, and they also had a positive impact on the world as a result of your actions. It's really not as rare as you're thinking. You, yes, you specifically, interact with so many people, and you have an impact on them. Every moment is a moment of impression. So it's not difficult, not really. His prayer jar is empty, dull, unflickering. Until people from before realize he's gone, it's going to be like this. He's got quite the mouth on him, so they let me repurpose it a bit. Don't worry, the others here can't see that his prayer jar is empty. We only let them see the successes, the glass-contained bonfires. Purgatory is designed to be anonymous, private suffering. They can't even see each other, just the table of jars. Any embarrassment you feel here is handcrafted in small batches by beings like me. We wouldn't outsource that. It's one of the few privileges we purgatory angels, get. Until people from before realize he's gone, it's a swear jar. Right now, when he looks at it, he doesn't feel any sort of motivation. He just feels nothing. Feels like nothing. Oh, that reminds me. I touched the side button on my headset. Which is not to say you are nothing, nor are you nowhere. You are very much you, and you are precisely where you are. Small room with sunlight. Cracked vinyl couch that doubles as a bed. Empty bookshelves except for your journal and pens when you remember to put them back. Small trunk full of itchy knitted blankets in yarn colors that populate the sale bin of the craft store. It's cold in here, isn't it? Freezing, actually, but the cold is always preferred to heat. I mean, based on the screaming howls from downstairs about the utterly agonizing heat, I can only assume the cold is preferable. He shakes his head and tries to focus on anything other than my voice. He can't drown me out, but sometimes I just stop talking. False sense of relief and all that.
To whom it may concern, I'm going to lose my shit if someone calls me you one more time. I guess I'll go for another walk. I'm not stuck in one place, which is nice of God. Is God in charge of purgatory? There's a garden outside that I like to go to. It reminds me of home. I bailed out on my dad's turkey farm, went to college, and worked as a bartender for a while. Finally, I managed to claw my way up the bar scene and was a famous, regionally acclaimed, known EDM DJ. I had some good hits on SoundCloud and a couple thousand followers on Spotify, but I didn't spend a lot of time outdoors, bad acoustics, you know. I miss my mom, so it's kind of nice to be in a garden again. She had one just like this on the side of our house, except there's less turkey shit in this garden. I know, because I've been on my knees in this garden, knuckle deep in the rich soil, and there's a distinct lack of turkey shit. Mom swore by it, but she could have just been trying to make my dad feel better. Her flowers were gorgeous, though. I couldn't tell you the names of all the flowers she planted. I guess I never bothered to learn them. I do regret that. I should have listened to her. Mom loved tulips, so I recognize those. Dad always made sure she got the biggest bouquets of tulips for Mother's Day and her birthday. I should have tried harder. It is still day 8,439. Maybe.
Actually, our new arrival has been in purgatory for the equivalent of 36 hours and 12 minutes, and I have been watching him for every semi-blessed minute of it. I admire him for trying to keep track, but his method is flawed. The new arrivals are exhausted when they arrive. Living is hard, and this isn't downstairs, so we snap them asleep every now and then as a little treat. They may not have earned the escalator, but they deserve some rest. Anyways, he's back from the garden now and sitting on his couch again. With eyes closed in concentration and nails digging into the cracked vinyl, he tips his head back. There's an explosion of pain behind his eyes, and he lets out a litany of 4-letter words. You see, he leaned back too far and made contact with the dull edge of a piece of what he would call utterly absurd modern art that is jutting from the wall. It's all swirls and lumps and ridges that he doesn't understand. What he doesn't remember is that he created this piece as a 5-year-old child just before nap time. Sort of. This is a plaster recreation of a piece he made with bright yellow and green Play-Doh. He never enjoyed Play-Doh as much as Lincoln Logs, the scent still makes him gag, but his mother didn't want him making noises with the wooden pieces as she organized her Tupperware collection and debated if she really needed another cookie press. All he is cognizant of right now is the echo of his cursing, blinding and numbing pain, and the quarters that have appeared in his pocket as a punishment for his cathartic swearing. He's frustrated as he digs deep into the tiny pockets of his sweatpants. The tiny pockets were my idea, you know. Quite successful, too. The men hate it. The women fall into a false sense of normalcy. He searches for a quarter and mulls over the irritating knowledge that he can still swear. My boss hasn't eradicated it, but he will have to contribute to the swear jar as a result. He thinks it's a swear jar right now, and well, I can't correct him. That's not true. It would be so easy to press the button and whisper. I just won't correct him. It's the issue of money, he tells himself. The money doesn't mean anything. Nothing matters anymore. Well, I'll tell you this much, just because you can't tell him. He's wrong. There is one thing that matters more than it ever has. It's true that he can't control most things here, but there is one thing that could help him, if he just stopped moping around and reflect on how he got here. No, it's not the jar. He can't do anything about that. He can't reach out to people from before, can't solicit prayers. Sure, the prayers matter, but it won't change anything. Put a quarter in and get a cookie. When my entire responsibility is whispering to him, watching him, and conjuring quarters, I get a little bored. So I've been experimenting with cookie conjuring, too. This hour's recipe is toffee butter crunch. It's a bit of a cruel trick, I suppose, offering positive reinforcement through cookies for something he really shouldn't be doing. But he wants a cookie. I know he does. He can smell them from his seat on the couch. The combination of creamy butter, rich brown, and delicate white sugars, and sweet pure vanilla extract. And he fights the way his eyes want to roll back in pleasure at the scent of melted toffee that dances through the air, teases along his jaw, and slides deep into his subconscious. I wonder if he recognizes the plate from before. He and his mother made it at a ceramics studio when he was 6. He gave R&D so much to work with, this one. Drop the quarter in. Get a cookie. He bites off both words with relish. Fuck had been his favorite word before. The flexibility, adaptability, and consistency of it. The potential behind that slow drawl of the F, the guttural dip of the U, and the hard end with the CK. Perfection. The weight of the new quarter manages to feel far heavier in his pocket. He does keep me busy, this one.
Mom.
Oh, okay. He's writing to his mother? That might help. Let's see.
It is day 9,528. If my thread system is working. And I'm not entirely sure what is happening, but I can assume it's not going great for me. So I just wander around this room full of shitty art, or sit on this couch all day, right? And it is not a comfy couch. Sure, at first glance I saw it and thought it was the couch from my old frat house, the one you hated. I took the best fucking naps on that thing. This couch is nearly identical, but the differences are all bad. The vinyl is always sticky, and it's overstuffed, so where the vinyl is cracked, it's got stuffing popping out like canned biscuits. If canned biscuits were itchy and gave my skin a weird rash. I don't know what's worse, the itchy stuffing or the sticky vinyl.
I want to intervene here. It should be noted that the hyperfixation on the couch is not my doing, nor is it part of any intentional penance. He came to that himself. Also, it is that same couch. R&D, I'm telling you, they are good.
So I sit on this couch all day except when I wander into the garden, and no matter where I look, no matter where I wander, it's always there. It's this countdown timer. It's bright fucking green, and every time I look at it, I think about those disgusting green apple martinis in that hotel bar from that one spring break in Mobile. They were so sour, but so cheap, and I just wanted to be blackout drunk, so yeah. I watch this timer, and it's just counting down, but it's not counting down in, like, a normal way. It's just counting down randomly. Who fucking knows? I should probably stop swearing. I know you hated it.
Okay, let's talk about the timer. It fills an entire wall, and it is a rather awful shade of green. The timer is everywhere, but it technically means nothing, just like the prayer jars. The jars motivate. The timer is designed to promote a sense of urgency, but urgency means nothing when he isn't reflecting on his choices.
Mom, I figured it out, finally, on day 10,431. I figured it out. There's the timer, and there's the table with the swear jar. Other jars are on the table too, and they sometimes flicker, sometimes glow. Sometimes, once or twice, I've seen a jar fucking shoot flames up at least 3 feet in the air. And whenever a jar lights up or whatever, the timer goes down.
That's purely a coincidence. Also, I just want to add for the sake of clarity that he has been in residence for exactly 38 hours and 41 minutes, and he doesn't get it yet. He hasn't figured it out because he doesn't know how he died. And perhaps, more importantly, how little of a positive impact what he did had. I may just nudge. I'm not supposed to, but the boss doesn't exactly have a line of us waiting to work in purgatory, so I'm going to nudge.
Mom, day 11,372. And someone has been in my room because someone wrote in my journal. Someone has been in my room and took my journal off my shelf and wrote in it. I can definitely see, in green gel pen on the last page, a note that I didn't write. I write in black ink. And I couldn't have written it, because I didn't know anything about the shit it said. But now I do. My swear jar? Yeah, it's actually a prayer jar, with a trademark and everything. When someone from before prays for me, it lights up. No one is praying for me. This cannot be good. Fuck.
He is understandably distressed, but I don't regret writing in his journal. The ignorant can't reflect.
Mom, I don't think I'm a bad person. I don't. So then why is no one praying for me? I did some good things. I'm a good person. For instance, like the time I definitely...
He seems panicked. That's promising.
I mean, I fixed that little girl's bicycle seat when a screw came loose. I didn't have to do that. It was like a solid 15 minutes kneeling in my driveway, and that was after I had to go find my screwdriver in the garage, and I always tip well. Even when my food is bad, I always tip well. Okay. Not always. I didn't always, even though you told me to. But that first job in that dive bar, the type that had knife gauges in the tabletop and Sharpie marks and stickers all over the bar, a lot of guys who wore leather unironically. There was this one night, and this bachelorette party came in, right? Black dresses. Too much thigh to be in this bar with this crowd. We were all staring. Wait. I feel like I should apologize. Should I apologize?
To whom? It's a leading question, yes, but aren't I leading him somewhere good?
I don't know. An apology to my mom for objectifying women, or even the women themselves?
Sure. Couldn't hurt.
Sorry.
That didn't feel sincere. I have to torment him a little, okay? And it wasn't sincere. If he's going to make the offer, he needs to do a good job.
Shut up. They were waiting for the club across the street to open, and 2 of them came up to me and asked for lemon drop shots. I told them we didn't have any lemon. The shorter one, blonde and loud, laughed like I was kidding. I was not kidding. The produce truck hadn't arrived, so we had no fresh fruit. She was bummed. I've never seen someone so destroyed over the lack of a lemon drop shot. The other one, quieter, showing way more skin, explained it was their fam tree drink. I had no idea what that meant, so I made them margaritas in these awful mason jars. Management said they were trendy, but when did we ever give a flying care about trendy? And just charged them for 2 shots, because I did not feel like watching them cry. Also, screw my boss, because mason jars were stupid.
They're not my favorite container, but I think they're used here because they had a big moment on Pinterest. People got really sick of them, so they're a natural choice.
They both tipped me like $10 each, after I didn't have lemons for their shots. So, that stuck with me. They didn't have to do that. And now, then, I always tried to tip really well. I'm not amazing, but my family, surely my family, my mom would be praying for me. I know you would.
Yes, let's talk about his family. Decent, kind, thoughtful people. They buy organic and donate what they don't need to the food bank before it expires. They own a turkey farm, so Mom drops a fully roasted turkey off there every Sunday, golden brown, trimmed and stuffed and dressed, and another one at each homeless shelter in town. Both always use a turn signal, and they never double park. They're classy. They're good, generous people who would pray for their dead son's soul, even if he did abandon the family farm. They wanted him to follow his dreams, even if they didn't understand the dream. In their defense, I understand most things, and I don't understand EDM music. They always send a paper Christmas newsletter with updates and photos. It's quite charming, the way they brag about him. Dad even figured out how to make QR codes so that people could find his son's SoundCloud account. They would pray for him. I don't know them the way I know him. They're not on my Earth caseload, but I know that much. They would pray for him. But the thing is, they aren't praying for him because they don't know. About his death, I mean. It isn't his fault he died in that stolen car without his wallet, with a terrible driver who caused a freak accident hundreds of miles from home. His family hasn't been alerted yet, so they can't pray for him. Of course, if the timing worked out, he always tried to call home on Saturday afternoons. If he misses the call and didn't answer when Mom calls, perhaps. Well, she'd be concerned, to put it lightly. He always calls, and it will be her birthday. Oh, I shouldn't meddle any more than I already have. It's one thing to nudge him, but to start nudging people on Earth? That's definitely a no.
Mom, not one person is praying for me. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I would do anything for a drink right now. I think my last drink was the night Oh, shit. That's how I died? Oh, this is bad. I don't remember it all, but I do remember my agent, Greg. He booked me at this club in Nebraska that I did not want to go to, okay? It was far from home, like 400 miles, and your birthday was in 2 days, and Greg likes to party for a while after an appearance. He was saying if we were going to be in Lincoln anyway, we might as well rage a little afterward. I swear, he's got a dealer who owes him in every city we end up in, and I wasn't feeling it. But my rent was due, and this Lincoln Club appearance would cover the next 3 months, so I gritted my teeth and said yes. Greg showed up outside my house in this sweet red Scion, and he had my latest mix blaring. So I was kind of pumped, I'll admit it. We get there, and they take me into this kick-ass green room with snacks and beer. Greg didn't tell them I was kidding about bowls full of watermelon Jolly Ranchers only, and platters of cocktail weenies with spicy mustard. I was mostly kidding. Pretty cool they did it anyway, even if it was a douchey mood on my part. Not that it matters now. I put all my stuff in the little safe and got into this awful yellow shirt with the club's name on it. Greg apparently agreed I'd wear it. I hate yellow. Then I'm up on stage, and it's this elevated set with scaffolding. I was already imagining scaling it the way I'd climb trees back home. Do you remember how you'd yell at me to come down? I do. Even without climbing higher, I can see everything in this place. There's strobe lights and confetti in the air, and girls are screaming. There's a glass bar running the length of the building, and there's lights in it, pulsing to the music. Greg tells me they're sound sensitive, so when I start my set, they'll adjust. And then it got bad. They bring out a cake, ginormous sheet cake with the good frosting, and it's all colorful, and it's got my name in big swirly letters, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I love cake. I thought I was going to get to eat this cake, but no. Apparently this club has a tradition. The first time a DJ plays the club, they have a cake fight. I don't even get to eat this cake. I'm expected to plunge my hands into it and throw fistfuls of cake at the crowd. This is making me so anxious. I don't want to do it, but Greg is behind me, and he's plunging my hands into the cake. I just zone out and do it. The next thing I know, the cake has been destroyed. It's all over the dance floor, and there's smeared frosting and hair across faces over clothes. You remember when I was 10, and I made a cake for Dad's birthday, and I was so excited. We even made the vanilla buttercream frosting from scratch, and it was the best frosting I'd ever tasted. Yummy frosted and everything. I got a little carried away and didn't realize that I dropped this glob of frosting on the floor. It blended in with the tile of our kitchen floor. You were carrying the cake out to the dining room, and you slipped in the frosting. It was slow motion, like in movies, right? And you're falling, and the cake is up in the air, and then you hit the floor, and the cake hit you. You twisted your ankle and hit your forehead on the edge of the counter, frosting everywhere, all over the floor, smeared in your hair. Blood from your forehead mixing with vanilla buttercream, so it made this awful shade of pink. I was down on my knees crying. The frosting was all over my clothes. Dad came in and he freaked out. I don't remember getting to the hospital. I just know we spent his birthday night there. You got stitches. Dad got bread pudding from the hospital cafeteria. And I got to go to the front desk to pick up the tulips Dad ordered. So there's this cake and frosting all over the floor of this club, and I have a really bad feeling about this. At which point Greg decides to make it even messier, and he hauls a case of champagne up on stage. I really don't have a good feeling about this, but he's already popping the bottles and spraying champagne into his mouth and over me and onto the crowd. They're screaming and cheering, and I was so on edge, but everyone was having a good time. I was finally enjoying myself, finally getting into it, when a girl spider monkey climbed up this guy, right? He's got her on his shoulders, and she's shrieking and laughing and dancing. I said there was frosting on the floor, right? And then Greg added the champagne. So the guy slipped, and they both fell. I thought I was going to be sick, because I heard the crack of her head against the floor. and he landed on top of her, and even with the rainbow frosting and from my distance, I could see the blood. The rainbow frosting was the neon kind, bright pink and highlighter yellow and lime green and turquoise blue. There wasn't supposed to be any red in it. It wasn't that kind of rainbow. But there was so much red. I wanted to throw up. I whispered, "Mom," and Greg stared at me. I was feeling dizzy by that point. The strobe lights were on crackhead level, and strobe lights are pretty cool when people are moving, but she wasn't moving. And all I could see was you on the kitchen floor, also not moving. I started crying, sobbing, bent over and retching, sobbing. I hit my knees pretty hard when I dropped. I didn't even realize that horrible wailing sound was me until Greg called me off that stage, and the sound didn't stop. We were out the emergency exit, and Greg threw me in the car, and then we were driving. There were headlights filling my eyes, and a horn blaring, and my head was pounding, and the car was skidding. My whole body lurched. I realized I hadn't put my seatbelt on, so I think I grabbed at it. I don't remember anything else. I don't, and I don't want to.
Greg should not have been operating a motor vehicle. Between the cocaine done surreptitiously in the green room and the chugging of champagne, he was not at peak awareness.
I missed your birthday. Oh, shit. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Well, not yet. It's been 41 hours and 3 minutes since his still unidentified body parted from his very much identifiable soul. But he will miss his mother's birthday, yes. I do hate that part. The parents, when they learn, it hurts me every time to think about it. I have a colleague who works downstairs, and she tells me they don't even use that memory or scenario on their residents. I worked the sorting room once, and I got to hear the downstairs folk talking about their various methods. Angry bears with chainsaws for hands, needles under fingernails, hands then dipped in vinegar, being submerged in boiling water until your flesh melts from your bones, the awful process of re-adhering said flesh to said bones so they can start over. Bees with teeth, childhood pets who start talking and detailing all the ways they loathe you. Nothing is off limits to them, except reminding parents of what it's like to lose their child.
Mom, I don't think you know I'm gone. I'm probably some unidentified body in the Lincoln morgue, because the car isn't registered to me or Greg, and my license is in my wallet in that safe. No one is praying for me, because no one knows. I am trapped here, and I've got no way to reach out to them. And those jars, they keep lighting up. Not mine. Would anyone other than my parents care, even if they did know? I've never cried in purgatory before. It's been 13,864 days, and this is the first time I've cried.
He stops staring at the prayer jars and just sits on the couch. Seconds, minutes, hours pass, and he misses his mother's birthday. You know, if he were downstairs, they'd show him the look on her face when he doesn't call. They want him to hurt, but I want him to be better. He's crying more. Not real tears, of course. There are no real tears to be had. We just simulate the experience of crying here. The tightening of the chest, the throbbing in the head, the pounding behind the eyes, the ripping sensation every time you try to take a breath.
Mom, I've accepted I'll be here for a while, maybe forever. I think I'm okay with that. I have my couch, and I have your garden. It's not perfect, but I think it might be what I deserve. The timer is slowing down, barely any time has dropped away. I don't know what happens if my jar never lights up, and I don't know what happens if the timer ever runs out. I don't know. So instead of fixating on my jar and how empty it is, I've stopped swearing. I'm trying to be better. I'm praying for the people I remember. I'm praying for Greg. I don't blame him. Mom, if you get these somehow, please don't blame him either. Not that you would. You're better than me. I'm praying for you and Dad, and I'm praying for everyone you're helping. I wonder if those people know how lucky they are to know you too, to have you in their lives. I don't regret leaving to follow my dreams, but I do regret not going back more often. I miss you both so much. I'm praying for everyone in the club that night, that woman who died that night. It wasn't my fault, but it wasn't not my fault either. I spend more time in your garden now. I stare at the flowers until I hear your voice from all those years ago telling me their names. Once I hear you, I pick one of the flowers and I press it in my journal. I write the name of the flower under it, and then I write the name of someone I remember, who I think would like that flower. Mom, you get every tulip, I promise. Other flowers can go to other people. I don't know if the paying it forward thing exists here, but I guess I just want everyone I remember to come into this place with at least one flickering light in their jar. I want everyone to know someone is thinking of them. It's what you would do.